The council's laughter. The Grand Council chamber floated above a dying star, its light pouring through crystal walls like molten gold. Dozens of alien leaders sat in great circular rows, their faces sharp with pride, their voices thick with arrogance. These were the rulers of the galaxy, the ones who had seen empires rise and fall for thousands of years. To them, nothing was new, nothing was surprising, and yet on this day, the topic of discussion was a species they considered young, weak and unimportant, humans. The oldest elder, his skin carved with glowing lines, stood in the center of the chamber. His voice was slow, but carried the weight of centuries. "We must speak truth," he said. "Humans cannot be defeated. No matter how many battles they lose, no matter how much they suffer, they rise again. They fight when there is no hope. They endure when others surrender. They are different." For a long moment the chamber was silent. Some of the younger councillors tilted their heads. Others narrowed their eyes. Then, as if a spark of mockery had been lit, laughter erupted through the chamber, unstoppable. "Humans," a reptilian leader hissed with sharp teeth bared. "They are fragile. Their world is small. Their fleets are nothing compared to ours. They barely understand the stars they fly through." A tall, insectoid councillor clicked its mandibles and added, "Their bodies are weak. Their lifespans are short. Their weapons are primitive. How could they be what you claim?" The chamber filled with more laughter, echoing like thunder inside the crystal walls. The elders' words were drowned beneath waves of mockery. To them, it was a joke, an amusing distraction during their endless debates, but not every voice laughed. A few of the oldest elders stayed silent, watching, remembering. They had seen humans before. They had fought against them. They knew the truth in ways the others could not imagine. One elder with silver eyes finally spoke. His words cut through the noise like a blade. "You laugh now. You laugh because you do not understand. You laugh because you fear what you cannot control. But your laughter will fade. When humans stand before you, when they refuse to break even as you crush them, then you will remember these words." Still, the laughter continued. In the back of the chamber, a younger species delegate whispered to his companion, "Why do the elders fear them? Humans are nothing." His companion shook his head but said nothing. Even among the council's youngest races, there were rumors. Rumors of human soldiers who would not surrender. Rumors of fleets that returned stronger after every defeat. Rumors of battles where humans should have died but somehow endured. The elder who first spoke closed his eyes. He remembered. He remembered a world burned by war, where humans fought not only for victory but for each other. He remembered a battlefield littered with wreckage, where humans, covered in wounds, still dragged their comrades to safety. He remembered how their eyes burned with something alien to the galaxy, a refusal to give up. It was not strength of body. It was not the sharpness of weapons. It was something deeper, something the galaxy had forgotten. The elder raised his voice again, forcing the chamber into silence for a moment. "Humans cannot be defeated," he repeated firmly. "They do not know when to stop. They fight even when their bones are broken. They rise when they should remain fallen. They endure what no one else dares to endure. And when you believe them destroyed, they will come back stronger." This time, the laughter that followed was uneasy. It was not the loud roar from before. It was quieter, edged with discomfort. The council's leader, a massive figure with golden horns, leaned forward and sneered. "So you say, Elder. Yet where is your proof? Where are these victories? Humanity is small. Their world is not even worth conquest. Why should the Great Council fear ants that crawl among the stars?" The elder met his gaze without fear. "Because ants do not stop. You may crush them one by one, but they return, again and again. And when they gather in numbers, even the strongest predators fall." The council leader waved his hand with dismissal, but a flicker of doubt crossed his face. Others saw it, and for the first time the chamber grew quiet again. Beyond the crystal walls, the dying star pulsed like a warning heartbeat. Its light bathed the chamber in red and gold. The elder's words hung in the silence like heavy chains. The laughter had not truly ended, but beneath it, seeds of fear had been planted. for in their hearts even the most arrogant counselors knew one thing. When the elders spoke, it was never without reason. And if the elders feared humanity, then perhaps the galaxy itself had something new to fear. The chamber closed that day with mocking smiles and dismissive laughter. But among the shadows, whispers began to spread. Whispers of Earth, whispers of humanity, whispers of an enemy that no empire could ever truly defeat. And far away, under the blue skies of Earth, humanity prepared, not knowing that the galaxy already trembled at the sound of their name. The human defiance, while the alien council laughed in their crystal chamber, humanity was busy preparing. On Earth, the great cities glowed with lights that pierced the night. Spaceports roared with launches, and orbiting shipyards never slept. Humanity had no time for the arrogance of distant rulers. They were too busy surviving. Human history had always been filled with struggle. Floods, plagues, wars, hunger, none of it had broken them. Every trial only forged them harder. Now in the age of stars, nothing had changed. The humans carried the same fire into the void of space. In orbit above the blue planet, the Titan-class warship Resolute stood as a symbol of that fire. Its hull was not polished like alien ships, but scarred, patched and strengthened with layers of steel and composites. It was ugly compared to the elegant designs of other species, yet every plate carried a story. Each scar spoke of battles survived, of enemies fought, of humans who refused to die. Inside its walls, the crew worked with relentless focus. Soldiers drilled day and night, their voices echoing through the steel corridors. Engineers crawled through endless tunnels, repairing systems by hand when machines failed. On Earth, scientists worked without rest, inventing weapons not of beauty, but of necessity. They did not aim to impress, they aimed to endure. What the Council never understood was this: humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for one another. Each soldier carried not only a weapon, but also the memory of family, friends, and home. For every city destroyed, humans built another. For every life lost, they carried the strength of that sacrifice. This bond was something the galaxy could not measure, yet it burned brighter than any star. Across the colonies, stories spread like wildfire. A squad that held a station for 3 days without food. A pilot who rammed his burning ship into an enemy cruiser to save his fleet. A medic who carried wounded comrades across a battlefield under heavy fire and survived. These were not legends to humans. They were everyday truths. The alien generals who fought humans learned this quickly. They expected surrender when humans were surrounded. Instead, they met counterattacks. They expected fear when humans faced death. Instead, they saw courage. One alien admiral once said, "To fight humans is to fight the storm. You can drown them, burn them, crush them, but the storm always returns." The elder who had spoken before the council remembered these words. He had seen humans on the battlefield. He knew their secret was not numbers or weapons. Their true weapon was the spirit inside them, the refusal to stop, but the council refused to believe. They saw humans as weak. They laughed at the thought of Earth resisting their fleets. They did not see the endless drills, the determination in tired eyes, the small victories that built into something greater. One evening, in the shadow of the moon, human fleets gathered. The Resolute led the formation, its massive engines glowing like a second sun. Around it flew dozens of smaller ships, patched together from whatever resources could be spared. Some had mismatched panels, others bore burn marks from past battles. Yet each one was armed and ready. "Status report," the captain of the Resolute called, his voice calm. "All systems holding," replied the engineer, his hands stained with grease. "Weapons armed," said the tactical officer, her eyes sharp as steel. "Crew ready," echoed through the bridge, the words carrying not just duty but pride. Outside, the stars watched silently as humanity prepared to face the galaxy's judgment. This was human defiance, not loud, not arrogant, but unbreakable. Where other species measured power in numbers, humans measured it in resilience. Where others built monuments of gold, humans built weapons of survival. Where others mocked, humans endured. The Council's laughter traveled through the void, but humanity did not hear it. And if they had, they would not have cared. Because they knew one truth the Council would learn too late. Humans could bleed. Humans could fall, but humans could not be defeated. And as the fleets moved into formation, engines blazing against the black of space, the universe itself seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. For it knew what the Council did not. This was only the beginning. The test of fire, the Council's arrogance finally turned into action. Their fleets, forged in the pride of 1,000 empires, crossed the stars to meet the humans. The great alien warships glimmered like mountains of steel, each one armed with weapons strong enough to tear continents apart. They moved in silence, confident, as though their victory had already been written. In the Grand Chamber, the Council's leader raised his hand. "Let us show these humans what it means to defy us," he declared, and the Council roared in approval. The elders who had warned them said nothing. Their eyes, old and heavy, looked not at the Council but at the stars, as if waiting for history to repeat itself. Far away, the skies above Earth darkened. Hundreds of alien ships dropped out of hyperspace, their engines burning bright like false suns. Their shadows swallowed the horizon. On the ground, people stopped to look upward, their faces pale, but their hearts steady. Inside the Titan-class Resolute, alarms screamed through every corridor. Soldiers strapped into combat seats, weapons gleaming in their hands. Pilots sealed their helmets, eyes narrowed with focus. The captain stood on the command bridge, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Remember who you fight for. Not for power, not for conquest. You fight for home. You fight for each other," the fleet answered with one voice. "Aye, Captain." The first strike came without warning. Alien warships fired beams of light that cut through the void like blades. Entire human frigates exploded in bursts of fire, their wreckage scattering across the stars. The Council, watching from afar, laughed as the battle began, but their laughter faded when the humans struck back. Though smaller and fewer, human ships moved with speed and fury. They twisted through enemy fire, launching missiles from impossible angles. Fighters darted like sparks, slipping between giant cruisers and striking at weak points. The Resolute itself thundered forward, its cannons unleashing storms of plasma that burned holes into alien hulls. On the bridge, the tactical officer shouted, "Enemy cruiser disabled!" Another voice followed quickly, "Frigate destroyed, 2 more moving in." Every report carried loss, but every report carried victory as well. For each human ship that fell, another fought harder. Where one crew was silenced, another shouted louder. The aliens, used to easy victories, felt confusion first, then fear. These humans should have broken. Their fleets should have scattered. Instead, they fought as if death meant nothing. An alien commander growled into his comms, "They are only delaying their end." But even as he spoke, one of his destroyers erupted in flames, struck down by a swarm of human fighters who refused to retreat. The Council, still watching from afar, leaned forward in silence. The laughter that once filled their chamber was gone, replaced by uneasy whispers. On Earth's surface, people listened to the battle above through trembling transmissions. Static-filled voices spoke of courage, of resistance, of sacrifice. Mothers held their children close. Old men clenched their fists. And across the planet, a strange calm spread. Fear was there, yes, but stronger than fear was pride. Back on the Resolute, the captain gripped the rail of the command deck.
"Status?"
He demanded. "Shields at half. Engines holding. Weapons ready." The captain's eyes burned with fire. "Then we hold the line." And so they did. The battle raged for hours, neither side willing to fall. The humans bled, but they stood. They burned, but they struck back. Even when outnumbered, even when surrounded, they refused to surrender. Their spirit blazed brighter than the weapons they carried. One alien admiral, watching his fleet crumble piece by piece, whispered in disbelief, This should not be possible." But it was. When the dust of battle finally settled, the void of space was littered with wreckage, human and alien alike. The humans had lost ships, yes, but they had not been defeated. Against overwhelming odds, they still stood. The Resolute, scarred and battered, floated at the front of the line like a living symbol of defiance. The council received the reports in silence. Their earlier laughter seemed like a ghost haunting the chamber. No one dared mock the humans now. No one dared call them weak. The elders spoke once more, their voices calm but sharp as knives. "We told you. Humans cannot be defeated. You see now what your laughter could not hide." The council's leader clenched his jaw, his golden horns casting shadows across the chamber. "This was only the first battle," he growled. "Yes," the elder replied softly. "And yet, even the first battle has shaken you." The chamber grew quiet. For the first time in centuries, fear touched the council's hearts, and far across the stars, the humans prepared again. For they knew this was not the end. This was only the test of fire, the beginning of a war where their unbreakable spirit would burn brighter than ever. The moment of truth. The wreckage of battle drifted through space like broken stars. Human ships and alien warships alike floated in silence, their fires slowly dying in the cold dark. Reports carried across the galaxy, reaching the council's chamber like waves crashing against their arrogance. At first, the council ignored them. "Losses are expected," said the horned leader, his voice steady but his eyes uncertain. "The humans only survive by chance. Next time we will crush them fully." But the reports kept coming, and each one told the same story. Human fleets still holding. Human soldiers refused to surrender. Human colonies rebuilt in weeks, not decades. The council chamber, once filled with laughter, now carried only whispers. Their prideful smiles began to fade. One by one they realized the truth. The battle they had thought would end, humanity had only made them stronger. The elders sat silently, watching the council's unease grow. They had warned them, and now their warning became prophecy. At last one elder rose. His voice was calm, but it carried through the chamber like a storm. "You thought them weak. You thought their short lives and fragile bodies made them less. But you never understood their spirit. You never understood their fire." He paused, and the silence deepened. "I have seen their soldiers fight with broken limbs. I've seen them rebuild cities, even as the ashes still smoked. I've seen them stand together when no hope remained. They do not fear death. They do not fear loss. They only fear failing each other." The councillors shifted uneasily. Their jeweled robes seemed heavy, their golden crowns dim under the light of the dying star. One younger councillor slammed a clawed hand against the table. "They bleed like all others. They fall like all others. They cannot be endless." The elder shook his head. "No, they are not endless, but they rise again and again. Even when beaten, they return. That is why they cannot be defeated. Not because they never lose, but because they never stay lost." The words struck like thunder. Many councillors looked away, ashamed. Some clenched their fists, unwilling to admit what their hearts already knew, and then the proof arrived. A hologram flickered in the center of the chamber. It showed a human fleet, battered and scarred, standing before an alien armada far greater in number. The alien commander's voice was filled with certainty as he demanded their surrender. The humans answered with silence. Then slowly, one ship moved forward, engines blazing like fire. Another followed, and another. Soon the entire human fleet charged as one. The chamber erupted in shock. "Impossible!" cried one councillor. "They should be retreating." But they were not. The hologram showed the humans tearing into the alien fleet, not with superior weapons, not with greater numbers, but with fury and unity. Even as their ships fell, they pressed forward. Even as fire consumed their hulls, they refused to stop. The battle ended not in human victory, but in something far worse for the council: human defiance. The aliens won the field, but the humans left them scarred. The hologram ended. The chamber was quiet. No one laughed. No one mocked. Only silence remained, broken by the elder's voice. "You have seen with your own eyes. Humanity does not win by strength of arms. They win because they do not stop. Against such will, no empire can stand forever." For the first time, the council's leader had no words. His golden horns seemed smaller, his voice caught in his throat. Pride had been their shield, but pride now crumbled. The elders leaned forward. This is the moment of truth. You can continue to laugh, to call them weak, to dismiss their spirit. But laughter will not save you when they stand against you again. For even now they rise from the ashes you left behind. And they will rise higher still. The chamber remained in heavy silence. Outside, the dying star pulsed again, as if the galaxy itself agreed. The councillors shifted uncomfortably, each one realizing that the joke they had laughed at had become their greatest fear. In that silence, the truth settled upon them all like chains they could not break. Humans could bleed. Humans could fall, but humans could never be defeated. The silence after laughter, the council chamber once filled with roaring laughter, now sat in silence. The crystal walls reflected the dying star's light, turning the room blood-red, as if the galaxy itself mocked their pride. Councillors who once boasted of humanity's weakness now kept their eyes lowered, unwilling to meet the gaze of the elders. The reports from the front lines had broken them. The alien fleets had won battles but never victory. For every human ship destroyed, another rose. For every city burned, another was rebuilt. Humanity had turned defeat into fuel, turning ashes into fire. The council could no longer deny what they had laughed at for so long. The humans could not be stopped. An elder stood slowly, his ancient frame heavy, but his eyes burning bright. "You see it now," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Your laughter has died. You mocked the truth. You called it weakness, but the truth does not bend to your arrogance. Humanity is not like the others. They endure, they rise, they fight together. This is why they cannot be defeated." No one spoke. No one laughed. The silence was heavier than any words. Across the galaxy, the stories of human defiance spread faster than any fleet. Whispers turned into warnings. Admirals spoke with unease. Generals who once saw humans as prey now treated them with caution. Even the bravest predators hesitated before crossing human space. On Earth, life went on as it always had. The people worked, fought, loved, and rebuilt. Their skies bore scars of war, but their spirits carried no cracks. Children grew up under tales of soldiers who never surrendered. Mothers whispered to their sons and daughters, "Remember, we do not break. We rise." The resolute, scarred but still alive, drifted above the planet as a symbol of survival. Its crew walked its damaged halls with heads high. They were not just warriors. They were proof. Proof that humanity's strength was not in perfection, but in persistence. The council's leader, horns dim in the fading light, finally spoke. His voice was low, almost trembling. "If they cannot be defeated, what then? What becomes of the galaxy?" The elder turned his silver eyes toward him. "The galaxy must change, or the humans will change it for you." The words struck the chamber like lightning. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of countless worlds felt powerless. Their empires, built on conquest and control, seemed fragile compared to the will of a species that refused to fall. Another elder added softly, "They do not seek to conquer. They do not seek thrones or crowns. They seek only to endure. And because of this, they will rise higher than all of you." The councillors shifted uneasily, their laughter now nothing but a memory. They had mocked the warnings, but now they faced the reality. Humanity was not a passing fire. Humanity was a storm that could not be stopped. Outside, the stars stretched endless and silent. Fleets moved, wars brewed, and empires clashed. But everywhere, the same whisper spread. Humans cannot be defeated, and in the silence that followed, the council knew one thing above all else. Their laughter had been their mistake. Their arrogance had blinded them. Now only silence remained. Silence filled with the shadow of humanity's unstoppable rise. The galaxy had laughed once. It would never laugh again.